Marmorino is applied in 3 coats. The purpose of the first coat is to absorb water from the second and third coats. For this reason, it should be relatively thick. If the first coat is not thick enough, an extra layer should be applied when the first layer is dry. The purpose of the second coat is to obtain a smooth, even surface. It shouldn't be shiny. Usually 1 layer is enough, but occasionally it's best to do 2. The third coat must be polished, which means the pores should be closed. The fewer pores the Marmorino has, the shinier it will be. The first coat should be applied well so that there aren't too many ridges. You can add the final color to the first coat of material or not. Not adding color to the first coat will save you some time and money on colorant, since the first white coat will be completely covered with the second and third coats, which will be colored. If you leave the first coat white and the successive coats are tinted, you must be careful to completely cover all the white areas, in the corners, around the door frame, and near the baseboards. The first coat is usually applied with a large metal trowel, being careful that the blade is held at an angle of about 25 to 30 degrees to the wall. Be careful not to make ridges that are too long. If the material is applied with long strokes, any ridges or lines which appear should be smoothed out immediately with the next stroke. On outside corners, you should use a corner trowel. Apply the material as usual to the corner, and then use the corner trowel to apply a small amount of material to the edge. Any marks made by the corner trowel must be removed, both on the wall, being finished, and on the adjacent wall. Remember, it's difficult to hide straight marks in the next coats. When the first coat is dry, excessive ridges can be removed using a scraper. It is better not to use sandpaper to avoid creating dust on the walls. Before applying the second coat, let's see how the trowel should be used. The material should be put at a level where the handle meets the blade. Notice it isn't inserted exactly in the middle of the blade, but in the upper part of the blade. The trowel should be held in one direction only. It should always be held with the top side up and not the other way around. Normally, you put pressure on the upper part of the trowel rather than the lower part. You can use a medium or large trowel, but our plasters prefer to work with a large one from start to finish, only using the medium one for polishing. The second coat is applied less thickly than the first coat, making sure that the surface is smooth, but not shiny. It takes some practice to be sure you don't polish during the second coat. When you go over the surface to smooth out the ridges, you always need to have material on the trowel. With each stroke, you add a little material to the wall, and then smooth. Here we see how to leave a juncture between the upper part, which is finished with the second coat, and the lower part, which we have to do before the joint dries. You must leave the juncture with an irregular edge and have the material thin out to nothing. When we join the lower part with the upper part, we have to overlap the material by about 20 centimeters at the joint. If you're not satisfied with the second coat, or if you want a much smoother finish, we can go over it a second time with a little material on the trowel to smooth out the surface some more. Remember, don't apply too much pressure or else it'll become shiny. With the second coat also, we finished the edges with a corner trowel. Before beginning the last coat, which can be done with a medium or big trowel, in this case we're using the medium trowel, we have to prepare the blade. It's very important that the blade be very smooth for the last coat, especially when applying a fine Marmorino like Marmorino Classic. For the third coat, the material is applied in short strokes on a slightly damp wall, keeping the trowel at about a 20-degree angle. This material is immediately removed with the blade at a 35 to 40-degree angle. After about 15 strokes, use the trowel at a 50-degree angle for the first polishing. It's important to have this angle so that the remaining material on the trowel doesn't touch the wall. In this way, after polishing one area of the wall, you're ready to continue applying material to the next area. Once in a while, you will need to discard the material on the trowel because it gets too dry. We scrape it on the edge of the bucket, then get new material. A right-handed person would start working on the left side of the wall, as you can see here, but moving the trowel right to left. And a left-handed person would start on the right, moving the trowel from left to right. The reason why is that the material is always put in an area of the wall where the third coat has not been applied yet. That is, on top of the second coat. And then it is spread over the part which has been just finished. In this way, while removing the material which was just applied, the trowel also compresses the joints. When polishing, there should be no material on the outside areas of the blade. Remember that while polishing, the correct way to move the trowel is to lead with the top, letting the bottom follow its direction. Note how to hold the trowel correctly with both hands. Polishing can be improved with a good cloth. We use a cloth of non-woven fabric. In this way, you can apply a lot of pressure on the dullest areas.